So how do we do this again?
I mean, I remember, but...
Oh, I meant with the both of us.
No. There's a lot of banter, a lot less cheap shots at me. I don't know.
That'll be a change.
Yeah.
Okay.
In a world where every Rob, Steve, and Layn has a podcast, two good brothers will try to rise above the rest. Howard Blues and the Mark Kidder invite you to pour a cold beverage, pull up a seat, and enjoy time with friends. Welcome to Beer, Blues, and BS.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Beer, Blues, and BS, the podcast when one host is gone, the other host spends the entire time taking cheap shots at him, forgetting that the first host has editorial control all the time in the world and an endless supply of Nickelback posters to post on the other guy's wall. I'm your host, the returning Howard Blues, here, as always, with my co-host, the man, the myth, the Nickelback fan, the legend, the Mark Kidder. Kidder, how you doing tonight?
Just remember that I know how to use After Effects, and I can make things happen out of pretty much nothing. So just remember that as well. I'm okay. Happy to be back here with you now that you've maybe paid off the internet company to give you enough bandwidth to do 2 minutes of this show. So I'm glad we're here and ready to go. So thanks for coming back. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm a little tired. We had our spring site summit. So we had all of our site supervisors here in Bismarck for an all-day meeting / training session. Always a really good time. Always great to see our wonderful site folks. For a very long day. And it's interesting getting to talk to them and hearing about, what they're excited about for the season, what they're worried about, which is mostly, will we have enough staff? Here, we got like 30 openings for the Historical Society. So we're a little short on summer help. So, hey, anybody out there listening to this show, if you ever wanted to work at a historic site or nor a high schooler who needs a job or something, please feel free to apply. It's actually kind of a fun gig. So, yeah. But
you should hire some taller people then, so you wouldn't be so short.
I see. Kidder, I will also say thank you, for holding down the podcast while I was gone. And I also will extend a thank you to all of the wonderful guest co-hosts who stepped up. We had Rude Boy Kyle, Brother Nico coming in, the local geek, JS Gunslinger, Farva was back. So a lot of really great hosts. And also, Kidder, I got to throw it in there because I wouldn't call him a guest host. He was just a guest. But Clinton Cunanan from Another Lost Year, I have to say, Kidder, that was a fantastic episode. Like, I loved it, and I've never met Clinton, but you gave me like 2.5 hours of an interview, and to cut that thing down to about 2 hours, I think we got down to like 2 hours and 13 because, I try to hold that 2 hour limit, but it was hard. It was so friggin' hard to figure out what to cut out of it. So that was, I just wanted to say that was a fantastic episode. I really enjoyed listening to it and, just getting to hear his insights on the music industry and all of that. So that was fantastic. I did forget to mention and thank one person, but, he's here. So I might as well just say he's back after we've given him all this crap after he stood us up for 40-some episodes, after you gave him a whole bunch of flack about him making his return. Here he is, a back-to-back guest. That's right. Big D is back with us. So just to welcome him back, and thanks.
And for the record,
filling
it
in.
only took him 2 days when I asked him to be on the show. So I don't know what was going on there, but happy to oblige, right?
Yeah. Big D, welcome back. And how you doing tonight?
Doing all right. Happy to be here with you, gentlemen, again. And got a clean pair of clothes on this time. I do not smell like puke, which in a college town is saying a lot, you know. But when we were recording last week, little D got sick, unfortunately. Feeling a lot better now. I'm doing all right. Long week, but a good week. And yeah, here we are doing it again.
We should have had you on for the pizza episode, because then you could have gone to visit some of our favorite area pizza places in your neck of the woods and give us a live update to see how they're doing these days. Because it's been a hot minute since either Howard or I have been up there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can think of two offhand. Let's see, there's Rhombus and Mike's, and I can tell you that they are still open. That's all I can tell you, because I haven't been in yet.
Okay, well, that's good news. Get some alligator bites and get a Thai chicken pizza from Mike's and Rhombus, respectively. But we're not here to talk about the bazaar tonight. We got a whole 50 minutes of another episode that you can watch on that, plus another 15 minutes from the next episode that came after that. Tonight, we're here to talk about Howard stuff, because he's got a lot to talk about. And so we need to get right to it.
Yeah, being gone for a month, I've had a lot of time, and man, I started a whole document about a month ago where there's all these things. I'm like, oh, better jot this down so I don't forget it when we get to this episode. But the first thing that I wanted to start off talking about was something that to me was very important, and I wanted to lead off the show with it. I mentioned at the beginning we had the site summit, and while it's always great to see the site folks, this year was a little bit, or at least this meeting was a little bit difficult. Back on Good Friday, I learned, and those of you who have been following the show, you may have heard me talk about some stress at work and how I couldn't talk about it. Part of that was my boss was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer, and it had spread throughout her body. And on Good Friday, she passed away. And this leaves a very large kind of hole in the society. My boss, Fern Swenson, she had been with the State Historical Society for 35 years. So a large chunk of her career spent in the agency. She even, Kidder, when she was first out of school, kind of her first job was actually working for the University of North Dakota. So all of our alma mater. She was a huge influence and advocate of Northern Plains archaeology, of research, and of historic sites. And it's going to be a big presence for us to lose. There was so much institutional knowledge that she had, so much partnerships with local tribes and relationships and all of that. And just, again, being a big advocate for North Dakota, our historic sites, and for that. I'm going to miss the long conversations I used to have with her. And part of why I'm trying to fight back a little emotion on this. I owe a lot to Fern. And I say that because, and Kidder knows quite a bit about it, but when Lefty went back to nursing school, she quit her job and it cut our income in half. And I was still working at the Science Center and was trying to do the best I could to keep us afloat in that situation, and was applying for teaching jobs, thinking I was going to have to go back to teaching. And this opportunity came to be the site supervisor of the Chateau de Moras out in Medora. And I applied, and Fern hired me. And I am thankful for that every day since then, because thanks to her hiring me, you know, I now live in this wonderful house. Kate, Lefty, and I were able to start our family. We were finally financially stable enough, and had insurance, all these things that we lacked, that we could actually, after being married for 10 years, finally start the family we always wanted. So I thank Fern for that, for taking a chance on me, for hiring me, for giving me the opportunity, for bringing me to the state society, an agency which I love, and for then promoting me from the chateau to my current position, managing state historic sites. So I owe a lot to her. Also, without Fern, there would be no Beer Blues MBS, because thanks to that, you know, I have the financial ability to this show. So for that reason, I'm Kidder, I'm dedicating this show to the memory of Fern, and I am sponsoring, me personally, What's on Tap in memory of Fern tonight. So with that, let's get to What's on Tap, as I try to regain some of my composure and try and bring everybody kind of back up a little bit. So I'll pass it over to you, Kidder, for a bit.
And I will pass it right off to Big D to tell us what's on tap, to see if he was able to bring in some tasty beverages from across the pond, as it were, to celebrate the life and brightness that has been lost from the earth. And of course, our respects go out to Fern and her family and friends in this very difficult time. So, Big D, bring us up. What do you got over there, man?
Absolutely. Much never met Fern, never met her family, but 100% much love and condolences. Absolutely. I promised something international, as you kind of hinted at, Kidder. Got it right here. It was imported, which is good for me. This is, for anybody who has been to Korea, this is soju. There are many different varieties. The might be hard to tell. This is a 375 milliliters. And if you want a little Korean lesson there, the Korean writing says Jaru Isul. I'm assuming that Jaru means plum, because it's the same color. Great deductive reasoning. Anyway, so this is 13% alcohol by volume. There's
13%.
And
Okay.
this little combat bottle is the weak version. There are two non-fruity varieties, and my colleagues tend to refer to them as either red cap or green cap, just because of the color of the cap, but both of those are about 20%. If they had one in a little combat bottle, then I might have had one, but they only have one that's like size of a standard bottle of wine. No, thank you. No, I am not that adventurous, but
Maybe next time.
No, I had some. One must respect the soju, so I am not going to play with fire like that. So
Howard and I have done that sort of thing before. Just not with the Korean stuff.
Nope.
So what's it smell like? Smell like plum?
It does. Smells like plum and Robitussin.
That's horrible.
And I only bring that up because when we were living in Korea, Mrs. D, she didn't care for the soju that much, but it's rice based, so it's not like anything we're used to have in America. It's based on other things, but she described it as having a Robitussin flavor, no matter what flavor she had, the plum, the grape, the strawberry, or whatever it was, and that just kind of stuck. And yep, she's not wrong. She's wrong about very little, especially this.
Well, on a 0 to 5, you got better top half or not so good lower half.
This is actually pretty. It's been a while since I had the plum, and yeah, I'm going to give this right now for this session. I'm just going to give it a 3.5, simply because it's not as cold as I'd like. But then it'd be about 4.25, because I'll throw in the quarter scale just because I do what I want. I don't know what that was about. But the unsurprising tragedy is that this thing right here cost $7 when it would have cost in Korea 1,500 won, which was about $1.20. So there's that.
Fair enough. Well, I can always appreciate an ice cold beer, and so I get your deductive reasoning there. Do you think Howard would actually like this one? Because he doesn't like fruit in beer.
Well, it's not beer. I mean, it's more akin to wine than anything else. So if you like,
he got you there.
it has no characteristics that you'd associate with beer other than the alcohol. So it's a toss up. When I roll through Bismarck, I'll try and sneak one in my backpack and bring it on out to you. And I say sneak because Mrs. D will give me the major stink eye if she sees me with one of these in my hand. She's out of the country. That's why I'm doing this.
Well, and it's an important occasion such as this that you were on the Beer, Blues, and BS show. So drinking is encouraged. Doesn't matter really what you drink, unless you're drinking something nasty like a Four Loko or one of those juice beverages.
Oh, geez.
No, I don't have another one. That was just to commemorate your first visit to the show, which I hope
your America Canadian Four Loko.
Yes, and I certainly hope that I don't have another one for another 10 to 20 plus, maybe ever years. So let's see what's on tap tonight. Ryan, what should we drink? Yeah, he wants to play with the seal. But what do we have in here? This seems like a good return. How about we pull out the Tiki? Oh, Howard is back. I got the Tiki. This is the Lilikoi Capolo. And I think, Howard, have you had this one before?
Yes, I did have this one on the show before, so it'll be interesting to see what you think of it.
And that's what I was thinking. It's brewed and canned by Avery Brewing in Boulder, Colorado. And to give you the quick once over of what this is, it's brewed with Rocky Mountain water, malted barley, malted wheat, passion fruit, coriander, orange peel, hops, and Belgian yeast. It's tropical, juicy, and tart. So we'll see how this one is. Beer first, the rest will follow. This is a mere 5.4% alcohol per volume with the 12 fluid ounces in the old can here. And yes, it is part of the aluminum coming from the Ball Corporation, sponsor of your Colorado Avalanche. So let's go ahead and pop this guy open here. Let's see what the Tiki gods have in store for me. It smells fruity. You can smell a passion fruit. And the fruit just hits you right there on the top of your palate when you drink. Just the first sip, you really get that juicy, tart, citrusy taste, and then you get followed by the malt beverage taste there. it's not terrible. So I think I'm going to go with a solid 3 on this one. I don't know if I could drink a bunch of them, but should be good for this one. It's not too bad. And the tiki's holding a torch with wheat sticking out of it. That was very, very interesting. Interesting. So, Howard, round is on you, my friend. What do you have on tap this evening?
So I know normally I drink some weird out there beer, but because I knew I was going to be sponsoring this episode and dedicating it in memory of Fern, I decided to break out the good stuff. So I have had this on the show before, but it is the return of Howard's all-time favorite beer, Cold Smoke. That's right. From the Kettle House Brewing Company out of Montana. Basically, Cold Smoke on here, it gives you the define. It's a skiing term. It's light, bottomless powder carved by skiers and boarders. Notes on this are smooth, roasty, and a robust finish. It is a 6.5% alcohol by volume Scotch ale. And the can is a full pint. So it's enjoyable. Big D, have you ever had a Cold Smoke?
I have. It was the best wedding gift that I got that came in a can.
I asked that and immediately remembered that I slipped you a case of this on your wedding day as you were getting in the car to drive off.
Yes, you did. I've had it once since, and not enough since. It's good stuff.
It is good stuff.
I'm wondering who slipped you a can. Must have been the local geek, huh?
This can comes, yes, thankfully and directly from the local geek who brought me some from his last trip to Montana. So thank you, local geek. And I've had it on the show, so I don't need to go through all of that. But guys, cheers in memory of Fern. So cheers. I needed that after a long day. That's good stuff.
I might need a few more of these too as the show and the night goes on, but we'll cover that bridge when we get there, I guess, huh?
Yeah. We get to what's on tap too. I'll take charge on having the weird. I got one on deck. I'll take the charge for having the weird one this week.
But it's not the red cap.
I may have a second one. Maybe, possibly. I am back. This is a return episode. So,
It's true.
Okay.
In the rundown, I see something about a wreck. Is it talking about you, or something that happened to you, or the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald? Where are we going with this?
Well, Kidder, there was a wreck. There was a car wreck involving a member of my family.
Uh-oh.
Want to take a guess? Who?
I'm going to say your dad.
You would be absolutely correct. My dad got into...
what was he doing?
Well, so now... This is, of course, after the blizzard and such. But he, last summer, we had terrible drought, and his entire lawn got scorched. I mean, there's no grass left. It is dirt. So he was out. He was going to pick up some grass seed, and he was traveling along. I want to say it was Thayer, heading east, and there happened to be a moving van kind of parked in such a way to make the intersection hard to see. He has the right of way. He doesn't have to stop. The people going the other way have to stop, but didn't stop. And so because of this moving van, he didn't see him until, hey, we're coming to the intersection. He slams on the brakes, and basically their car hits and runs right along the front of his truck. So basically his side, it damaged his bumper, a little bit of the plastic piece. So he immediately pulls over. They continued going for a little bit, but then they turned around, came back, and parked in front. My dad gets out, walks up, and hey, you guys okay? And the guy's like, yeah, I think we're fine. And the woman in the car next to him's like, I don't know, I think I might have whiplash. And my dad and me's like, oh, so the bullshit starts already. Because they were traveling at like maybe 15 miles per hour. Like they were going slow and such. My dad asked, hey, have you called 911 so that we can get, the police and all that? No, I haven't done. He's like, okay, I'll call. So he calls. Officer shows up, and my dad, I will say, is very complimentary of this officer, and such. So I just wanted to shout that out. I don't know the officer's name, but Bismarck PD did a great job with this. He talks to my dad, and my dad and this guy had a little bit of a conversation while they were waiting for the officer. And my dad could immediately tell, and my dad's got a pretty good bullshit meter, that this guy was already like starting the excuses as to why he wasn't at fault for this. And my dad's just like, okay, this is not worth talking to this kid about. So the officer talks to my dad. My dad explains, yeah, I was heading down here to Chessex to pick up some grass seed, do the box truck, didn't see the guy coming until we were in the intersection. Slammed on my brakes, tried to, avoid the wreck. And I was just like, well, you're in the right of way, right? You're in the right. My dad's like, yeah, I know. Officer goes and talks to these guys. And the guy just keeps making up, he hit our side, so clearly he should have seen us. And, my dad's like, well, yeah, I hit your side because I stepped on the brakes. Otherwise it would have been a full-on hit. And well, I was going slow. Yeah, you still have to look, you still have to yield. So the officer kind of has this whole debate. Meanwhile, the fire department shows up, the ambulance shows up, because this gal is like, I gotta go to the hospital. So she got carted away in the ambulance and such. And the officer finished with the guy at fault and, said, okay, I will. He's like, since they're taking her to the hospital, you can head there. I'm going to track you down after to give the citation or so. I don't think he told the kid that he was giving him a citation, but he's like, I'll come to the hospital and find you and finish up there, but you can go. And he talks to my dad a little bit more. And he's like, yeah, you're not at fault. He's like, I got to finish this report. You were heading just down a couple blocks to Chessex. My dad's like, yeah. Officer says, go buy your seed. I'll stay here. I'll finish the report and I'll have it done when you get back. And my dad's like, you sure? And my dad's like, yeah, go. So my dad walks down, buys his seed, to which the worker there carried the seed. He's like, oh, I'll carry it out to your truck. My dad's like, okay. It's like, where are you parked? My dad's like, 2 blocks that way. Okay. You carried it all the way to. My dad's like, you don't have to do that. The guy's like, oh, no, this is great. Nobody was really shopping anyway. I need something to do. Takes what's in. But my dad's fine. He's not too worried about his truck. Kidder, it's his black truck, which I think you've seen. So it's just his ranch bomb that he drives around. So nothing valuable.
Good to hear he's okay.
Yeah, but yeah, he wasn't real. He's enjoying telling the story because he was over and he had to tell me about it, and then my brother came over and he had to tell my brother about it. So
Exciting
also,
times.
yeah. Also, I will say, just as a fun side note, Kidder, you know, my dad and his love of shooting competitions and such out at the ranch. There's a new champion out at the ranch who I've been told I now have to face off against.
Ah,
Yeah. Apparently, my sister beat them both.
well, obviously.
Yeah, never shot a pistol before in her life, and she beat them both. So I have been told I need to face her next.
I could say so many things, but I'm going to reserve judgment. Even Orion is reserving judgment. You see that?
No,
He's like, hey.
It's like,
Hey.
it's like throw the seal. Throw the seal.
Oh, he actually, here we go. All right. Go ahead. It's always exciting over here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So that was my dad's wreck story. But thought I would share it with you because I knew you'd appreciate hearing that about him.
Absolutely. Glad he's okay. That's the important thing.
Yeah. He's fine. And he's not even like really worried about the damage. He's like, great, now I have an excuse to put a nice aftermarket bumper on here. I'm not going to worry about straightening out the panel. There's not a straight panel on this truck anyway, so it's all good. So
Why am I seeing insurance money being used to purchase another firearm? Why am I,
you know, the gun fund is a bit low. So yeah, that could happen.
I mean, I don't fault him for wanting to get more money to buy more guns, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, right now he's trying to sell. He's got a single shot 20 gauge. Probably sell it to you, kid, if you want it for $12.
$12 because it doesn't shoot and it's just sitting around.
No,
is that the one that he ran over?
No,
or somebody ran over.
You know, that gun was worth a lot more.
Oh,
but yeah, it's a little one-shot shotgun, which is like the most pointless shotgun ever.
I mean, it is unless you can hit something, and then you only need one shot. So maybe that's why he's trying to sell it.
Yeah. So he was trying to sell it to my brother. My brother's like, no.
Huh.
I'm not going for it.
Well, what's wrong with it? Is it like a 7.32 gauge that you can't find rounds for? Some stupid thing?
No,
that's why it's only like, one shot.
No, it's a 20 gauge. It was just it was just manufactured as a one shot. So yeah. But you know, most people aren't that good, so they need that second or third or fourth or fifth, depending on how many cartridges will fit inside their pump shotgun.
Mm-hmm. See, personally, I feel that is the new competition gun out at the ranch. That's what that is for. You don't need to sell it. That's what you do the targets with, or whatever the competition is. Use that. You only get one shot.
Mm-hmm. You're gonna have to come out and take part in one of these shooting competitions there, kidder.
You know, I should, especially with how rusty I am. It's been quite a long time. I should see how it goes. Because then if I lose, rusty. If I clean house, I'm rusty.
Yeah, this is my dad and brother we're talking about, you know. So if you lose, the shit's gonna fly.
Yeah,
so.
I know. Maybe I should hit up the range a few months.
I don't know that you need to. I don't know that you need to do that. I'd invite Big D, but if I recall, he's like won some like marksmanship thing in his basic training days, if I recall. Or has a marksmanship ribbon.
M9 pistol marksman. The M4 marksman eludes me because the criteria to get marksman about this shy of really stupid. And by that I mean they're stupid.
Now, see if you get the M4, then there's no problem with it. I mean, it's fine. Like anybody else will win because not the marksman, right?
Yep, I hate the criteria unless I actually meet them. Then they're fine. I can have that cognitive dissonance if I need to.
Fair enough. I will say the first time that I qualified with the MP or MMP 15. Yeah, I think that's what it is. The first time I'd ever shot it, and even out to, what did we do? 100 yards or 500 yards? It was quite a ways with iron sights. Plink! Yeah, I qualified. So, I don't know what that means in the military terms, but I think I did okay. I didn't get any ribbons or anything, but they didn't give out any either. So,
well, it sounds like you hit your own target, which is more than some people can say.
Yep. Been there too. How did I get an extra hole in my target? You look around. With those, they were the metal targets, at least, because they're so far out there that nobody wanted to hike out and put up, paper targets to see if you'd hit them. So they would sit and watch, and then you'd hit it, and you could see the ricochet off of it, and then obviously hear it. So, like, yep, you got it. All right. Next. So, happy about that. But we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about Big D.
Well, that got ominous fast.
It's an intervention. What are you watching? Because it needs to change.
Oh, I see. So I don't really watch a whole lot of TV, so kind of play around.
It needs to change.
Indeed. So let's see here. Sort of kind of binging through Deep Space Nine on Netflix off and on, but really the big, and it is going to be incredibly dorky, incredibly nerdy. I embrace this. On YouTube, I've taken to watching a bunch of not speed runs necessarily, but races between competing gamers. Have either of you played Super Metroid for the Super Nintendo and Legends of Zelda: Link to the Past for the Super Nintendo? No? Okay.
I didn't have a Super Nintendo.
Well, somebody, I don't know if it was 10 years ago, but somebody figured out how to program those two games to basically combine into one, something about how the memory is used, and I don't know what the heck that means, but there were basically four doors in. Well, they talk about high stack and low stack. I'm like, okay, it makes sense to somebody who has no idea what the heck you're talking about. But there, in each game, there are, yeah.
So glad you're on the show.
Go find your can of cherries.
Go Bears.
But basically, there are 4 points in each game where you go through a door and it warps you into the other game, and the items are scattered throughout both games. Actually, pretty interesting to see. So I kind of check those out every now and again. That and watching Gordon Ramsay yell at people, that's always entertaining. It warms my heart.
See, the thing is, you can't feel too bad about watching weird things or being nerdy, because the guy on the other end of this call, not you, watches straight line videos, like people walking in straight lines in certain areas and royally screwing up or being pussies and not doing it right. So there's that.
Kind of like a slapstick compilation of fail straight line.
No. These people are like, we're gonna go from this point to that point across this area. We've got it on the map, and we're gonna walk over every obstacle through the lake. We're gonna everything, and only minimal stuff. I got a backpack. I'm gonna do this in like a day. but it might take a week. I'm gonna do it in a day. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so to bring it into a little bit more of what it really is. It started with it started with a YouTuber by Video Wizard. He got it in his head that nobody had ever walked across a country in a completely straight line, and so he decided he was going to do it. He's located in the UK. He decided Wales. I could do Wales. I think it's like 30 some kilometers or miles. I can't remember if he switched it to miles. Anyway, it's doable in like 4 or 5 days. But he hadn't really like thought it all through. And this is so he started at point A, he had his point, he had his GPS, and he just walked. And as Kidder said, any obstacle he hit, he had to go through, and it gets really entertaining because it's him trying to figure out sometimes how to cross these obstacles. It took a little bit for me to get into it, but he's got a real paranoia of farmers because, needless to say, he's not asking permission to go across people's land. So there's a ton of trespassing that's usually involved in this, and having to hide and such. So it gets a little kind of annoying at points because like every farm he like blows up into a bit of a big deal. But it gets to be entertaining. Anyway, when he did this first one, the straight line mission across Wales, it blew up. He got millions of views. And so now, and there are these people out there who look at like videos that go viral and then like, well, I'm going to do that because then I'll go viral too. And so there's all of these spinoff isn't quite the right word. Ripoff might be a little bit closer of other people trying to do these straight line missions. And some of them are very entertaining to watch. And some of them, as Kidder said, I watch these people fail and it's just, incredible some of the stupidity that I've seen. Like the teenagers who didn't check, but their route went past the driving range of the local golf course, which happened to open up the same week that they tried this. So all of a sudden, as they're going through the woods, golf balls start landing in the woods around them. And they're like, oh, crap. They had to basically seek cover. GeoWizard has his own failures. Like on his first one, he ends up failing. And sorry for the spoiler, but it's okay. It serves the point. He failed because he decided that he had enough food. So he burnt the last of his food at his one camp spot and then proceeded on and then didn't have enough food to make it to the next trap point. That was a good one. So
my hero.
It's incredibly, I find it fascinating. I enjoy watching him. It's a great thing to just kind of even have on a little bit in the background. As Kidder can tell you, like it's spawned all these new rules. Like he's got a ranking system for like how perfect his straight line mission is. So if he stays within like 25 meters of the original line, it's a platinum run. If he goes to 30, it's a gold run, and it's entertaining, to say the least. But that is not actually, Kidder, what I've been watching as of late.
What?
Yeah. I have a show to recommend to both of you because it's fantastic. It's out of the UK. It's a show called Taskmaster. I don't know if either of you have heard of this show. Okay. So the show involves basically the host or the Taskmaster. His name is Greg Davies. He has an assistant, Alex Horn, and they're both comedians. Alex Horn is actually the creator of the show, but as he has put it in interviews, I'm not the leading man material. I'm much more of a sidekick. So he's the sidekick throughout this. But what it is the series runs 8 episodes in which 5 comedians are competing for this trophy of Greg Davies' head. And they compete through these series of tasks, these challenges that they have to do. So every episode starts with, the first one is the prize round, because there's a winner of every episode. And in the prize round, they get challenged to bring in their own personal belongings to put up for it. So, like, for instance, the task for the prize round might be bring in your best sheep-related item. So then they have to figure out what in their personal stuff they have that is sheep-related that they could bring in and provide. And everybody brings in their thing. The Taskmaster will score them based on who did best. But then at the end of the episode, whoever wins gets those items. So whatever you put up, you may not get back, which has been interesting. After that, then they start the challenges. And the challenges are always interesting. So it might be something as simple as take this basketball and score a basket, but you can't use your hands, nor can you construct anything and use as gloves to do this. And you have usually a time limit to do it, or sometimes it's whoever does it the fastest wins. But the great thing is these guys are comedians, and some of these challenges, they have to embarrass themselves. Sometimes their own stupidity is what makes it so fantastic. And every now and then one of them will just like break the task and be like, oh, shit, I could just do this. And solves it in a way that's just incredible to watch. Like one example, they had to paint the best portrait of the Taskmaster, and it was sitting on this basically this large circular rug was their canvas on an easel. They could not step or touch the rug. And it didn't take long before one of them's like, well, okay. And he picks up two paintbrushes and rolls up the rug so he could stand right next to the canvas and paint it. And it's great because they cut back and forth between, because they film all of these on location elsewhere. So they film them and then they bring them back, and the other competitors don't get to see each other's runs until they reveal it on the show. And so you get some really great reactions of like, what, you can do that? That's great. Or just some of the sheer stupidity of what they do. It's an amazing show because, again, they're comedians. So they're very creative, but they're also incredibly funny. We have watched, because we were picking series based off of comedians I knew. So we watched series 2 of it. So the second season for those of us in America who call it a season instead of a series, which featured such great comedians as Joe Wilkerson, John Richardson, and Catherine Ryan, 3 of my favorites. We just finished series 4, which has Noel Fielding in it, which was very good. And then we were actually, before I came down here, watching episode 2 of series 5, season 5. And oh my God, so far, that's proving to be my favorite season of it. You can find these on YouTube, so woohoo. But I highly recommend it. You'll get a good laugh out of it. It's well worth it. So giving that a high recommendation for anybody out there who wants to see some comedians basically showing just how not smart they are, or sometimes incredibly smart. It's just fantastic. Fantastic. So a recommendation to you guys with that.
I like it. I think you've talked about it briefly.
I may have mentioned it, but there's so many things I love about that show. Besides just the concept of it, the music to it is fantastic. The set dressing is fantastic. They do a lot of really cool cinematography stuff. So for as ridiculous as this show sounds, it has some of just the best creative cinematography I've seen in a show like this. It's artsy at points in a very kind of comedic way, and it's just overly fantastic. So highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. And it's a good watch. I will say it's not family friendly. They swear a lot. That's
the British way.
Yeah. So I just want to throw that out there. I don't like to settle down with the kids. Hey, kids, Howard Blue says this is a great show. Let's watch it. You might want to be careful with that, but it's great. And I mean, Greg Davies really fits into this role of the Taskmaster, because not only is he a comedian, but the dude is tall. I forget what his height is, but he's like 6'4", 6'5", so he like towers over everybody. So it gives him just this great sense of authority over everybody. And then Alex Horn is just amazing, and the crap that he puts up with in that role as the assistant is just... I just to give you an idea, the first task of season 5 was for them to, each of the comedians had to, with Alex, give him the best special cuddle that they could come up with. It is so painfully awkward and funny. It's good. It's as awkward as you might think it could be. Mm-hmm.
I know I'm capable of some pretty awkward situations, but that's I'm trying to imagine it, and I think that's just something I'm gonna have to watch, because I don't, based on your description, I don't think there's any way to accurately mention it.
Yeah, I mean, I could describe some of the things they do, but I don't want to give it away because it's just fantastic. I mean, and all of the challenges they're just incredibly great at that stuff. I mean, there's been things where it's things like, hey, we took and made a CD of ringtones. You need to choose one and make a choreographed music video to it, you know? And these are like, not like, you know, like our modern kind of ringtones that, you know, it's like, could be a song. It's like all of the ones like when cell phones first came out, you know, so it's like all of like the classic, like early 2000s ringtones. Yeah.
Like 8-bit version of Paco Bell's Canon and whatnot.
Oh, it's not even like that. It's more of like the do 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 do, you know, just like the random jingly things that you could have on your phone at that time. It's
going old school Nokia, huh?
Yeah. It's a blast. It's hilarious. So, but even that, Kidder, not my newest obsession, because I've seen Taskmaster before, but I got a new one. It's kind of crazy.
And what
if you thought my straight line thing was crazy, I got a new one for you.
All right.
So sometimes I end up down weird rabbit holes on YouTube and such, and I'm not even sure how I got there, but I have stumbled upon the interesting world of
clickbait,
high limit coin pushers.
No.
Which is as ridiculous as it sounds. You guys know what coin pushers are, right? It's the arcade game where you put the quarters in and they drop onto like the tray that moves in and out. And
this is the public version that's available on YouTube. So yes.
Yeah. So then it drops down and then it pushes them some more. And then they drop down and hey, you win some quarters. These are supposedly high limit, and I will come back to why I said supposedly high limit ones where the guys who are participating are paying obscene amounts of money for a few quarters and supposedly winning millions of dollars or thousands of dollars. Like it started off like pretty simple, like, hey, it's a $500 buy-in. We get, 40 quarters. Let's see what we walk away with. And it's like, hey, we walked away with $3,000, but the more I've watched of these, it just keeps growing and growing to where it's like, all right, guys, our buy-in was $500,000. There's 1.9 million in here. Let's see what we can get. Now, the reason I watch these, Kidder, or at least like to have them on, is because as the limit has gone up, they keep building these impressive like towers out of the poker chips and such that they put in there and I love watching those things fall. Like, that's my enjoyment. I don't really get into like how much money he's winning, because here's the fun thing, Kidder, and it's great because I love controversy. These things are all faked.
What?
Yeah, you can't actually go to a casino and play a high limit coin pusher because it's ridiculous. I mean, these guys who are posting these videos, they win every time, and they win jackpot every time. And no casino is going to put up with that. No casino would probably let you film it either and post it on YouTube. But these guys have gone to such great lengths as to like put in casino sounds, in the background. But you never hear anybody, like somebody passing by or anything like that. But you hear all the casino sounds. What really makes these fascinating then is if you read the comments, because there's like this whole war of like back and forth, the people who believe that it's real. Like, where are you doing this? I want to so go and do this. And the people who have figured it out are like, the dude's in his basement. It's his own machine. It's, it's not real. And so the comments have been fun with this. I will say, if you do decide to go down this particular rabbit hole, just mute whoever you're listening to, because I have yet to find one who is worth listening to. The one who I found the most of and I've seen the most of, he like says only like the same things every time. So it's like you can almost verbatim do it. He's got a southern accent too, so he's a good old boy, but it's like, all right, we got our quarters. I'm going to put these quarters in. Hopefully I win something. And then as like he's winning, like he'll eventually like drop a quarter, and every time he does, he's like, oh, look out, Georgie. It's like, he said it so much, I actually thought his name was Georgie, and like that he was like, oh, he was saying that because like like we're gonna get that tower to fall. Keep on. No, it was every time he dropped a quarter. Dude drops a crap ton of quarters. Like, I would say you could make a drinking game out of it, but you'd be shit-faced before you finish the video. And these things go on for like 40 minutes. They're crazy. But then here's the better part, Kidder. And I will leave you on this because I think you'll enjoy it. Because we've talked about people who pirate videos and such. So when I found these originally, it was actually on Facebook Watch, and it wasn't the original guy's video. Somebody had found his video, downloaded it, and posted it as their own. So I haven't even been watching the original content creator's videos on a page where he's getting it. It's on somebody who's pirating somebody's videos. I'm telling you, man, this just keeps providing so much entertainment for me.
See, I thought the punchline was going to be that you found out that the person pirating it was your best friend, Chuli Tornado.
Don't give him Tornado. That's giving him too much credit.
Yeah, just Thule. Just Thule.
It's been 20 years. Give me a break.
It's the ultimate Thule.
There we go.
See, if you think that's interesting, I got a place for you. Let's take a road trip down to see Rude Boy Kyle and brother Nico. We could go to Dave and Buster's. They got one of those machines right there. We could do an on location.
But can I win millions of dollars?
In your head.
Mm.
Here's the kicker to it. It's actually a Star Trek themed coin pushing machine. So let's go. Now. See? That's what I'm saying. You can turn in the cards for tickets or prizes or something like that, and I don't know, but I kept the cards.
Yeah. No, it's as I said, it's just been one of those weird things. I don't know how I originally stumbled upon these, but I don't know. I enjoy watching the towers fall. It's no, it wasn't even that. It's because again, I found this on Facebook Watch. So for some reason, the Facebook algorithm said, this Howard guy, you know what he needs in his life? Pirated videos of high limit coin pushers. Let's keep showing him these things. And yeah, as I said, I just like watching the towers fall. It's
Sounds like you need higher entertainment value in your life.
Well, Kidder, I have been sleep deprived for several weeks. So
Fair enough.
it's working for me.
Well, in my end of things, we've talked about it a little bit, but I've been continuing to keep up to date on Star Trek Picard. So there's that. I've also been watching the Halo series, which there's lots of controversy there because pretty much every Halo fan who's played the games is like, WTF, mate? What is this? Who made this? Why? Why was this made? This is not Halo. This is crap. And I've been watching Moon Knight as well from the Marvel Universe. So there's that. That's basically everything that I've been keeping tabs on, aside from WWE and AEW. And to give you the update on both of those series, or if you will, or companies, for this past week's Monday Night Raw, I finished it in 16 minutes. And this week's AEW Dynamite, an hour and 15. So that's saying something, comparing 3 hours of content to 2 hours of content. The only reason I watched that much of Raw is because it was Randy Orton's 20-year anniversary celebration. So there's that. And also to inform you that at AEW All or Nothing in Las Vegas, CM Punk will face Hangman Adam Page for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah, you sent me that graphic.
I did. Figured it would come in handy at some point. If not, just to let you know.
The audience is probably looking at it right now as we speak.
Wow.
Thank you, Future Howard.
Yeah. Future Howard's been busy as of late. Very busy.
Can't imagine why.
I wasn't even talking about the new kid. It's Kidder was like the content making machine while I was gone. It's like every time I turned around, he's like, record another episode of the show. It's like, oh man. It was all like, it was crazy. He, worked in a whole other episode that I wasn't expecting. So,
the day is mine. You're welcome for that.
Yeah,
you're gonna love last week's and the week before.
I've got the week before's done. So I just need you time codes on that one. So that's not hard. And then
it was a unique challenge, wasn't it?
No, actually, that one was pretty easy.
Oh, well, good.
The only real challenge was lining up the skid steer footage with real time. And figuring out like when you like had hit record on some of that, but like I got pretty close. So,
and for those of you watching this wondering, go back to last week and the week before, and then you'll see what we're talking about.
Yeah, I haven't got too far into last week's currently as we're doing this. So yeah, I know there's more surprises coming. So
yeah, it's a good time.
Oh, it already has been. Already has been. But hey, Kidder, since you mentioned Star Trek, and because we have Big D on here, there was something when Big D originally came on. I've had this idea almost since we invited him on of this thing I wanted to do, and then the last time he gave me like zero notice that he was going to be on, so I couldn't prep it. And then I saw that he was, well, then I saw he was on last week, and I'm like, damn it, I missed my chance to do it because he was on. And then when you're like, Big D wants to come back for this week as well. I'm like, sweet, I can finally do this. Guys, I have a fun little Star Trek challenge for you. And this is to settle a long-running debate between myself and the Mark Kidder, because we constantly argue over the Star Trek movies and which ones are better than others. So, gentlemen, here's what I got for you. I have a list of all 13 of the Star Trek movies. And I have taken and tallied some of the metrics from the different rating services and basically created an average. But I have their official rank of where the critics and where audiences put them. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to start at the we're going to go through them in chronological order. What
As
you
we
guys
should.
need, you guys need to give me where you think they ended up ranked. So between 1 and 13. And then we'll see which of you manages to get the most correct. So,
No.
yeah. Not what you were expecting, was it, Kidder?
No, I was expecting you were going to go one movie at a time, and then each of us had to essentially guess the overall audience rating and then the overall critic rating, not having to do the mumbo jumbo. This one fits into this number.
Well, I mean, if you want to also place your guess of what the score is. Now, I combined the scores to get an average. So if you want to give me that ranking, it's between 1 and 100 on that. I will give bonus points if you manage to get one of those correct. So there. I just made this even more complicated for future Howard and the scorekeeping on this. So enjoy.
You're doing it to yourself. So
I am, but man, I've been waiting to do this for a long time. So we are going to start off with the first one, Star Trek, the motion picture. The suspense is killing everyone.
yeah, I was going to let our guests go first.
I'm going to need you to repeat the rules.
So it should have a ranking between 1 and 13. So you got to give me the rank. And then if you want the bonus point, you can try and guess what the actual score was for it.
Let me
I will say Star Trek 5, or not Star Trek 5, the motion picture, Star Trek 1, will be number 5 on that rating. I believe the fan score is up in the 80s. We'll just go 83, and the critic score was 48.
You're going to make me break out the calculator, aren't you?
No, you don't have to. I'm just throwing out numbers.
Right, but I combined those scores. So now I have to figure out the average based off what you said.
Okay. I'll give you an average of 63 then.
Okay. Future Howard will probably put up something. And no looking it up either.
I'm not. I'm the soju is going to make me forget what I told you. So I'm just jamming these out. So I know that one is hot garbage. So that's number 13. That one's not much better. Stop talking so Future Howard has an easier time dealing with this crap.
Big D is thinking long and hard about Star Trek the Motion Picture, which is more than the writers ever did.
Phrasing. The problem is that they thought too much on it, and in that process, everybody was trying to do something with the script and how to film it and throwing money at it, and then they're like, yeah, we're going to do this by this date, so finish it. And you're like, we haven't even finished a quarter of the movie yet. And they're like, well, you're going to do it. So they ended up throwing it all together literally last minute and putting the final effects touches on the reel. As the reel was still wet, they premiered it in Hollywood at the I believe it was the Chinese theater. to the overall movie premiere. So they weren't even sure if the film was going to stay together because it was still wet. Anyway, Big D.
So
1 through 13.
So I'm going to go. Likewise, I'm going to go with 5. As far as 5 out of 13. I can share my screen if you want to see what my rankings are on that. but I think the funny thing about Star Trek 1 is I actually haven't finished it yet because I started it 20 years ago, and I'm almost done with that scene where they're flying around the Enterprise on the shuttle.
It's even better now that the 4K remaster is out, and so you got to start it over on Paramount Plus. So we'll talk to you again in another 20 years, so then when you make it past the Director's Extended Edition that's remastered in 4K and the Dolby Digital surround sound, so then you can truly hear the people, the crewmen out there doing the work in the spacesuits. You can hear their cries as they watch the Enterprise slowly leave over 5 years.
Did you have... Oh, go
I was
ahead.
going to say, as far as combined score, I'm going to go with 75 on the average.
Okay. All right. This brings us to Star Trek II: Wrath of Khan.
I believe that would be the overall number 1 on that list, and combined score 89%.
Okay.
I'm going with number 2 and a combined score of 90.
All right. That takes us to Star Trek III: The Search for Spock.
Number 12 with a combined score of 31%.
I'm going with number 7 with a combined score of... See, that's a tough one because it's the second part of a trilogy, which is always the underrated one. I think it deserved better than 65, but I think it got 65.
All right. That brings us to Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home.
Number 2 overall, and with that one, I will hit 72% average.
I'm going with number 1 overall, but also with a 90% average. It was just a
All right.
good, fun movie.
I'm not going to lie. I've seen Star Trek: The Motion Picture. I've seen Wrath of Khan. And then I don't pick up again until Generations. Star Trek 5. Star Trek 5, The Final Frontier.
I will put that at number 13 with an average score of 28%.
Fun fact about this: in the roast of William Shatner almost 20 years ago, Jason Alexander, I think, referred to this one actually pretty darn well. Star Trek V: The Death of a Franchise. That was number 11 for me, and combined score with 40.
All right, that brings us to Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country.
So for me, that one I place number 11. And again, these aren't my ratings. These are what I believe the overall listings of the other people rate them as. So again, number 11 for The Undiscovered Country. And for this one, give it 42%. No, 43.
Undiscovered Country, I put that as 3 overall, with a score of 75.
95, you said?
75.
75. Okay. Sorry, cut out for just a second there. So I was like, okay.
He's
Yeah,
trying to
it's really-
rate it so then he wins. As then Howard wins.
No, I had to go and I had to go flush the toilet for the second week in a row on your podcast here.
Mm.
Not really.
Yeah. Well, trying
He
to
hasn't
keep.
got that part yet.
This brings us into a new generation of Star Trek films with Star Trek: The Generations, or
No,
Star Trek.
Star Trek
Just
Generation.
hanging on for one too many episodes movies.
Oh, Howie Blues. Howie Blues. Gosh.
That joke was better in my head, but between the drinking and the sleep deprivedness, I botched it pretty good. But sorry.
Stop
Story of
the
my life,
damn
man. I can
act.
relate.
Man's got a family. What'd you say there, Big D?
I said, story of my life. I can relate. I got great jokes, and then I make a mistake of saying them.
So with this one, Generations, I will put number 3 on the list. And I believe that one had 85% average.
This is where we're going to diverge a little bit. I'm going with 10 overall with a score of 60.
So, Kidder, I just want to clarify on this. You're saying that it scored 5%?
No,
Or are you going 95% or 70?
85%.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
There we go.
Got to tune up the band, get the gigawatts flowing through your interwebs.
Yeah. Okay, that brings us to Star Trek First Contact.
So this is probably my favorite of the movies. But on this listing, I will go with number 6 and 76% average.
I'm going with number 8 and a 75 average.
That leads us into Star Trek Insurrection.
This one's number 10 on my list, and we're down into the 45% range, I think. Although I saw this one about 7 times in the theater.
Once with me.
Why would you do that to yourself? Let's see, Insurrection, we go number 9 and 50 for the score.
Okay, and that brings us to Star Trek Nemesis.
I have to remember the tagline. The generation's final journey begins, or just the final journey begins. I have the poster in the other room. I could go get that. I will go number 9 on this one and a solid 50%. 5-0. Although it got a lot of lower ratings.
Yeah, it did. This is bottom of the barrel for me, number 13 with a 35.
And we move into the Abrams take on it with his first film in that Star Trek.
I will place this at begrudgingly at number 4 with an 88% rating.
I also had this at 4 with 85. I'm dead serious.
Begrudgingly.
And 85.
Star Trek Into Darkness? Is that where we're going? We're going to trek into the darkness?
We are going, yes, to that cinematic masterpiece that is Star Trek Into Darkness.
A steaming pile. You know, if they would have just left Khan out of it and made John Barrington an actual character, it would have been a whole lot more interesting. But no! This one's at number 7 on what I think it would appear overall. And let's see, what percent? I don't know. 55%? 60%?
I'm going with number 12 at 45%. Other gripe, Carol Marcus was not British, but they cast her with a British actress. Wonderful actress, but the character was not British.
Right. And that brings us to Star Trek Beyond.
She brought a quite the bright moment into the movie, though. A few of them. Star Trek Beyond. The last one on my list would have to be number 8. And even though this was the best of the 3, in some ways, I don't know, 47%. I don't know.
I'm going with number 6 at 70%.
I also didn't write down any of my percentages on there, so I probably ranked some of them higher than others. So, I don't know.
It's all right. This game is made up and the points only matter for pride. Okay.
Who's Trek
So
is
here's
it
what I
anyway?
did. Here's what I've done. I have your scores here. One thing I did do with the ratings, just for, I don't know, so that there were points. I gave you guys like a 5-point window on either side. So just as an example, if, the rating was a 55 and you said 50 or 60, I gave it to you. So let's go through this list. And it's interesting. There's one thing I didn't notice on here when I set this up, because there was a bit of a debate about some of these rankings earlier in the history of the show, Kidder. And that was based off of a list I saw that was based off the same metrics I looked at, but the metrics have changed since that episode. So I just want to throw that out there. So I'll point it out when we get there. But here we go. Here's the rankings according to the data I have aggregated. Coming in at number 13 is Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, with a rating of 23%. So, Kidder, you actually scored 2 points right off the bat.
Sweet. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
No, I'm done.
It's downhill from here. At number 12 is Star Trek Nemesis, with a score of 43.5%. At number 11 is Star Trek The Motion Picture, with a ranking of 45%. Number 10 is Star Trek Insurrection at 49%. Yeah. Number 9 with a score of 52% is Star Trek Generations. Yeah. I knew Kidder was going to groan at that one. Yeah. Number 8 with a score of 71% would be Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock.
It's a little high, but best part of that movie was Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah, I think this one's going to get some groans from the two of you. At number 7, with a score of 81.5%, Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home.
Clearly, this poll and these numbers are fraudulent. I demand a recount. There's got to be a hanging Chad somewhere.
I got proof. I got proof that it's not fake. You'll see. We'll get
Are these
there.
the Rotten Tomato numbers? I demand excellence.
Coming in at number 6 with a score of 82.5% would be Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country. All right. At number 5 with a score of 83% is Star Trek Beyond. So higher than what you guys had.
Yeah, I already know that this rating is crap.
At number 4, at a score of 86.5%, Star Trek Into Darkness.
Ugh.
Which, this is why I say the numbers changed, Kidder, because at number 3, with a score of 88%, is Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. The last time I looked at these numbers, Into Darkness was ahead of Wrath of Khan. So, they've changed. They've changed. So, let's see. So, we said Wrath of Khan was 3. That brings us to number 2. The score of 90.5%. It's Kidder's favorite Star Trek film. It's Star Trek First Contact.
Okay, that's good. I mean, I'll go with that.
Yeah. But
That's
sitting at number...
that's my proverbial favorite that you think it should be my favorite, the 2009 Star Trek movie. Which is probably number 1.
Number 1 with a ranking of 92.5%. Star Trek, the 2009 film by J.J. Abrams. The one that introduced lens flares to the Star Trek universe.
I'm sorry for future Howard. I'm really sorry, but this is dumb. Yeah, I said it. I had to say it. I said it on behalf of Big D. Because that needed to be said.
And for this
crap hacked website are you looking at? What is this? Is it howardblues.com? howardbluesratestartrek.com? HB Star Trek fans only.com? Like what is
for those, and of course Future Howard put his scoreboard up. But for the sake of this game, their scores, Kidder comes out with a score of 6 points, and Big D with a score of 2. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. I will say, Big D, you were like off on some of these by just like 1, you know. So
yeah, I don't get points for that.
No.
Jerk.
No. Then you wonder why you ask him for like 8 months to be on the show. And I'm like, hey, you want to be on the show? He's like, when do you want to do it? And I'm like, day and a half. Yeah, why not? You know what? I'll rearrange my schedule just for you to be on the show. And I'm like, man, I really appreciate that. I can rearrange my schedule to help you be on the show. How can we do it? We'll make it work. What? Let's just do it now. Let's fire up the show. Let's get this thing rolling. Let's talk Star Trek for an hour. Okay, why not? Hey, Howard Blues is thinking about coming back to the show. Oh, did I mention that I'm sitting by a toilet? That might be a rehash of last week's. If you haven't seen it, go take a look.
Like I said, if it's good enough for Supreme Court oral arguments, it's good enough for me in the business center on location.
You know, Kidder ranting after this, so worth all of the effort of putting that together. This has provided all the content joy I've wanted. I'll deal with it. I'll deal with it.
No, it's not your problem. It's Future Howard's problem. And I apologize. So there you go.
You're just, again, salty about the better Star Trek movie being on top. It's okay, man. Just let it go. Let it go, man. Maybe you need another beer to calm you down. Maybe we need to do a What's on Tap round 2 to just soothe the savage Kidder.
Segue.
To bring the saltiness down.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, just try to help you out, man.
Well, you're going to love when we talk about Star Trek and Star Wars over a few of the other episodes that are now in the past, of course. So go watch those and listen for some of those gems. I can only imagine what future or past Howard will think or was thinking at the point of editing those and making notes. Let's go ahead, take a look in the old magic fridge here. Orion, what should we have? What should we have? As in it's me. Which one? That one? This one? All right. An ace. Good pick, Orion. All right. So this one is what?
Nothing.
No, I'm giving Howie some sign language lessons. That's all.
Mm. Got Ace Perry right here. Ace Perry. Cider is extremely refreshing. It was first created in 1994. It's the U.S.'s original pear cider, and it was our flagship cider for over 20 years. We have blended our apple cider with fresh pear juice and Madagascar bourbon vanilla. It's great for any occasion and complements spicy food very well. I hope you enjoy this classic, Ace. Cheers, Jeffrey House, the founder of this premium craft cider.
I like half Aussie, half 1920s Chicago gangster. That's actually pretty cool.
Thank you there. Appreciate that, Big T. It only gets better as we continue drinking. 5% alcohol by volume and 12 fluid ounces. That's 355 milliliters if you're over in the Britain area. You know what I'm saying? What? You need another trophy? Is that what you're smirking at, Howard? You want a trophy? You feel left out?
No. Don't you do it. I've shown I can put other things in the trophy hand.
That is refreshing. You taste the apple, you taste the pear. Nice and cidery. You feel like the ciders. America's original pear cider. Cheers to what's on tap round 2. Next!
Go ahead, Big D.
I'll go next. So let's see here. What I got is something I didn't fully read the label before I got it.
Welcome to the show.
I read most of it, but there's one key detail which I'll expound on in a moment. So this is
IPA.
brewed out of Destill Brewery from Normal, Illinois, but this is going to be decidedly a not normal beverage. So this is a peanut butter porter. Peanut butter, I thought was intriguing. So like, what the heck? American porter with peanut butter flavor. Peanut butter flavor. I should have read that. Some little natural flavor bullcrap that they put in there. Nutty, chocolatey, and smooth. 6.1% alcohol by volume. And 12 fluid ounces. What else we got? That's chocolate and caramel notes from roasted malt collide with creamy peanut butter flavor, creating a luxurious combination on the palate. Subtle sweetness, medium body, and creamy mouthfeel give way to a smooth finish, providing providing a liquid dessert sensation for the senses. Cheers. You were trying to make that dirty, weren't you?
I have no idea what you're talking about. The first thing I thought of in that entire description was fat bastard talking about stuff. Creamy porter. Something like that.
Yes.
He can't even. I killed Big D. I'm sorry.
Well, you said first thing. I was kind of waiting to see if there was a second thing too, because there was a second point to that, but
not really. Just fat bastard and accent and creamy buttery flavor or chocolatey, whatever. It's all mixed in.
I'm smelling more peanut butter than the chocolate. And I'm tasting more chocolate than peanut butter. That's confusing. But it's pretty smooth. Don't know that I would get this again, but it's interesting. I'll give it a 2.5.
I think that's like most of the drinks we have on this show. Yeah, it was worth the content. Not getting this again unless I forget.
All right. Now, Howie, we've seen what Kidder has, we've seen what I have, but I am waiting with bated breath. What do you have? And are we going to enjoy it as much as you are?
You know, and here's the thing. I don't know how much I'm going to enjoy this.
I'm going to enjoy it.
I was restocking the old beer fridge so that I was ready to make my return. And again, being sleep deprived because of the newborn, I saw a beer. I thought it might be interesting, and I couldn't remember. I could swear I've had this on the show before, but I don't know. So anyway, I thought it was worth bringing on and making it a second beer for a second round of What's on Tap. This is a beer from our good, I don't know if it's always good, from the brewery down in Texas, the official beer of Farmer. It's a Shiner with a 4% alcohol by volume. And I am so glad, Kidder, that we have brought the saltiness down with this What's on Tap just in time for me to bring back sea salt and lime.
Gross. Maybe it would be better if you had a bag of salt and lime chips.
I mean, it's not bad. It's definitely got the lime. That's definitely coming through. I haven't picked up the salt yet, but
it's all at the bottom.
so yeah, I was gonna say, Kidder will provide that as we continue going. So
You're welcome. Sprinkle that on, baby.
Yeah. So, but I can't. I mean, it's okay. I mean, it's really it's lime and salt. So, but yeah, I can't remember if I've had this on the show. Somebody, we need to get Kidder. We need to get like a super fan who like goes back, watches like all like 59 episodes of Beer Blues and BS, and like lists out what did we drink on every show. So that
it's interesting that you say that, because the one person comes to mind, and this person has suggested this in the past. You guys should have a list, and then when you rate one that's higher, then it moves up and the list goes down, and then that list keeps changing. Layn, I think it would be great if he just came in and he suggested it. It's a great idea. Come on in and do it, Layn.
Yeah, I mean, he's got time.
Absolutely, he has time. In fact, earlier today, I went into where he was working, and I did the old, behind him, and he's like, "What's up?" And I'm like, "Layn, yeah, what you doing?" "Working." Looking at his 3,000 Chrome tabs in 8 different windows. Click, 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 click. Yes, I guess you are working. Have you seen the latest episode of Beer Blues and BS yet? No, I gotta watch that. Yeah, you should watch that. So he has plenty of time. Clearly. Just make that list, auto update it. Looking forward to it, Layn.
I mean, and hey, Future Howard did some of the work. I mean, he at least did the time codes, so you could just go in and skip right to each What's on Tap.
Kind of like what he does now.
Yeah, since he's always doing that, I mean, he's not watching the full 2 hours of the episode. He's got time. He could, just make a nice, make a nice list. The only problem he might have is we haven't always necessarily given a rating. or we've had disagreements on what the ratings are, or things like that, or like, I'm going to rate this one a Q. I don't know what he's going to do with that, but hey, more power to him.
He'll figure it out. I mean, there can be just a good and bad category and then a rated category.
Yeah.
Because clearly the bad ones aren't going to make it up to the list where, like, I want to drink that again.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah.
You're welcome, Layn. Figure it out. You have a week to do it.
Yes. Good times. Hey,
Big D's like, why are you being mean to this kid? I don't even know who he is. And why is his name in the opening credits? Wait.
So is mine.
Something else in the opening credits. Weird. That's weird.
You got that? You got that? Huh. Oh, interesting.
Here I just thought that a bunch of people named Layn and Rob and Steve were just creating podcasts now. Like it was a popular thing for anybody named that to do. Because it seems that there's an awful lot of them, and that anybody named that thinks that they can make a podcast. I don't know why you would think that, because it actually takes talent to have a podcast. The question remains, why is this show still going? I mean, it's there. Sorry, I took the joke away from you there, Big D.
Oh, it's all good. I'm just loving that you're directing your spite and rage at somebody else.
Yes. Big D's sitting over there like, yes, fight, little monkeys, fight. Fight for my entertainment. Yeah, I don't know why I gave you a French accent there at the end.
That's funny because you tell me and you apologize to whole like continents for accent that I do, and then there's you over there like, look at me, I'm Big D, the Frenchman. What? Have you been gone that long where you forgot to English?
I just haven't been getting a lot of sleep, kidder. I mean, what a night this week. I kid you not, I only got 2.5 hours of sleep. So
sweet.
Sounds like a good night with a newborn.
You know what? And I'll tell you this, Big D. I'm not even on newborn duty. I'm on toddler duty. The toddler kept me up that much. So, yeah.
Yeah, little D does that too. I feel you.
So, yeah, it's one of those things. So, kidder, you're just getting to enjoy all of the joys of my brain trying to keep up with life and society, but so fried that it just doesn't quite function really. It's
Can we get Big D to do a French accent now?
I think it is possible, but I might the next time I go to France, I might be arrested for being a shit.
I was gonna say, Big D, do I have it wrong? But didn't you study French or take French classes?
I did, schooling? And yeah, still speak it. And in my so my last semester at UND, I lived in the
cliffhanger.
He's getting choked up.
I lived in the upperclassmen dorm. It was just one semester. There were some French exchange students, and I forget what it was. One night we were hanging out, and we were going to go to that dive of a place which is no longer there. Freaking Gillies downtown. Ground.
Oh, the place is still there. It's just not in the same iteration, and it's still trashy. From my understanding,
that's what I hear. I haven't gone in. A mutual friend of ours told me that it really wasn't worth it, so I just haven't gone in. But one of them handed me this little thing of hair gel, just tossed me one night, and he's like, "Tonight you are French." I'm like, "Okay, what the hell?" Did the best accent I could to mimic theirs, and they happen to be from northeastern France, pretty close to the German border. So the best accent I can pull off is kind of French with a little bit of a German influence, perhaps. I don't know.
But they give you a baguette and like a grease gun or something.
No, that would have been fitting.
I killed Howard.
Gonna make Howard fall out of his chair.
It's great. Oh, he's dying. This is great. This is great. Woo! You're welcome, Howard.
What's even that funny? Whew. Okay. I'm back.
And he clearly wasn't speaking French because I didn't hear any haws or the cross between the Italian and the French with the symbolism there. That was
Yeah,
good.
I feel I should sort of apologize about calling your Irish accent on or around St. Patrick's Day, referring to it as a horseshit accent. I should apologize, but I won't.
So they didn't give you a baguette, and you're salty about it.
No, not at all. Oh, no, I made up for that when Mrs. D and I did our bike trip across France in 2017, and basically on the daily we stopped at bakeries and baguettes, croissants, anything and everything that you can imagine at one point or another. That was our cycling fuel. We threw down. So I made up for it.
This is very good. Is good.
This is very good indeed, but you know it is not the best. It is this sheet of chocolate butter. It's not bad. I just
baguette. It'll help the beer go down, right? Maybe a croissant.
You know, it wasn't the baguette that was funny. It was the fact that it was baguette and grease gun. You know, like I was thinking you were going to go something like baguette and sauerkraut, but the grease gun, it just, I don't know. It just...
No, you know, the food, it's all right in Germany, but the guns. The guns.
Right. You know, usually, I was figuring like, oh, baguette with sauerkraut. That would like make sense. And yeah, the fact that you went with grease gun, it, I don't know.
You're welcome.
Tickled the old funny bone.
That's what happens when you mix France and Germany.
I thought that just gave you Belgium, but
Oh, sure.
no, that'd be mixing France and the Netherlands.
well, hey, Kidder, one of the things I like to do is I like to follow Kickstarters. But I've had a little bit of trouble here lately. I had two Kickstarters that were excellent candidates for a Howard's Cave of Wonder, and I didn't get to make either of them because both Kickstarters actually failed and canceled before I could make the video. And so I kind of wanted to talk about these because it was so funny to me because one of them came out and it was for a game called Riot Quest. And the company that makes it is a company called Privateer Press, and I actually own Riot Quest, or at least bits of it. They were going to make a board game version of it. And I was excited for this because it would be a game to play with the family. But I saw it when it launched. I was like, great, I'll come back and check it out and make a Howard's Cave of Wonder of it. And yeah, as you can see here, they only gained in about like 3 days, 364 backers. They only raised $24,748 of their $100,000 goal. And it's sad because Riot Quest is a before this was a board game version, but it was a skirmish board game. It was this weird kind of combination of like a MOBA and like a League of Legends and basically Saturday morning cartoons. Was really the idea behind it. And it's got kind of all of these interesting, colorful characters and such. And the game has actually been extremely popular for Privateer Press. And
The battle for booty.
Yeah, I mean, they play with a lot of jokes and such on that, and it's a lot of kind of cartoonish-esque characters. The game was up for quite a few awards, so it's done really well. And so I was really surprised at this, the board game version failed. It really kind of failed because they were offering, you're supposed to build your own team, but what they were doing so that you could do a board game version was so you got 4 of each character, which was kind of a lot for people. I don't think a lot of people wanted 4 of each character. They wanted like maybe 1 of each character and to do maybe more of a draft system. The other thing is Privateer Press tends to run their Kickstarters as a pre-sale. So there wasn't really the deals to it. It's more of like, hey, this is a pre-order. We just want to know how many copies to make. That one failed. So I was disappointed. But then, Kidder, I saw a new one coming out. I saw all of the ads while, kind of getting ready for Little Miss to make her appearance and then being at the hospital and having some time with that. Because we had some time. My daughter ended up in the NICU for a little bit. Nothing to be worried about or anything like that. The hospital was a bit short-staffed, and so they didn't have the folks in Mom Baby to keep an eye on her. She had to go on oxygen because she came into this world so fast her lungs hadn't fully expanded out, so she had to have some oxygen. So she ended up in NICU. And so I had time to just sit on Facebook for a little bit. And I saw this Kidder, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. This might be something Kidder's interested in, or Brother Nico, maybe even Rude Boy Kyle, because we had talked about it, and you guys actually ended up talking about this particular IP recently, but it's for a little IP known as Far Cry. This one, Kidder, was like only live for like maybe a day, and that was it. As you can see, within a day, 234 backers, 31,000 of their $105,000 goal, and they didn't reach it. And they could tell from this that they weren't really on track to do well with this. Kidder, have you played Far Cry before?
I have the first one, and I played maybe an hour of it, and haven't picked it up since.
Okay.
Like when the first one was the only one out. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the series has gotten better, but the series is kind of known for its realism. However, they've done a couple of spin-offs. There was Far Cry Blood Dragon, which was kind of this weird, like, 80s movie-esque cyberpunk version on it. They also did a caveman version. Anyway, this board game version of Far Cry was really laying into that Blood Dragon sort of feel. So instead of, fighting a religious cult like in Far Cry 5 or, rebels or, hostile dictators, they had you going after things such as, if I'm trying to scroll down, things such as aliens and robots.
Oh, sweet. They pulled Saints Row.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it does fit within Far Cry, but it was just one of those things where it just didn't fit with what people were looking. So here's like the first kind of set of villains, which are kind of a bit Nazi-esque, but then weirdly plague people. I think that they were a little off the mark of what people wanted out of Far Cry. So it was interesting because it was one of those I was excited to look at and go, boy, this could be good or not. The other thing was that they had this weird thing. So this is your hero figure here, but for some reason they made all of the bosses like these giant 70 millimeter figures. for no real reason. So like Mr. Suit Guy here, like towers over your hero for no reason. Yeah, there's a lot of problem. Here's the robots. Yeah. Fun stuff. I think this one really suffered from one, missing what the audience wanted, but two, one of the things with this was they put up their stuff before, you know, they had the ads out like, hey, we're doing Far Cry, the board game. And you could go and you could look at the preview, but the preview only was like, hey, here comes Far Cry. And it didn't have any of like, here's the miniatures we're looking at. Here's this. And I think it was enough to kind of make it so that people didn't know what they were getting into. And so when it was finally revealed, it's like, oh, this isn't the Far Cry I wanted. I heard great things about the system from people who got to test play it. But the story and content was kind of what was off. So, but there you go. Two things that Howard was going to cover in my Cave of Wonder, and they failed before I could even talk about them. So I just wanted to share because great examples of bad Kickstarter.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they should just stick to the, decent video games. I don't know.
I'm still waiting for the Siege, Rainbow Six Siege board game. I think is still working on it. So might actually get Kidder to sit down and play that.
If it doesn't suck like their latest iteration of flaming dumpster fire content that they put out, that new game, was it Extraction? I think that's the name of it. Don't play it.
Yeah, this is classic Siege. So just in a board game form with miniatures.
Fuse is a go. Fuse is a go. Fuse is a go.
That's a throw out to Leroy Jenkins there.
No. Kidder, I only got two more topics that I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to be quick about them. So, First, in reference to your conversation with Clinton from Another Lost Year, you guys were talking about orange juice and pulp in orange juice. And I just, like, you guys were talking about it, and I wish I was there because I wanted to tell this story because this happened during my hiatus. I don't know who bought it. I don't know how it got in my house, but we ended up with some extra pulp orange juice. And I'm like, okay, I'm finishing this. I'm getting it out of my fridge. So I was drinking it. But of course, because I was drinking it, Junior's like, I want some orange juice. I'm like, okay, let me pour you. We got him these, their glasses, and they have this little piece that goes inside. So they look like an actual glass, but it's kind of a piece to kind of keep the flow down so that they don't tip it up and drench themselves. There was so much pulp in this that like we couldn't get the orange juice out. The thing kept clogging. So I'm with you guys, Kidder. No pulp in orange juice. That's like a crime. And if you want that, go eat an orange. Totally with you guys. So I wanted to say that. There's
nothing worse than grabbing a glass of orange juice and you're like, nice, refreshing, cold glass of orange juice. And you grab it and you're like, orange juice, yeah. Nice, delicious, refreshing smell. And you bunch of thickness straight into your mouth. Like an orange threw up in your mouth. You're like, why? Why?
Yeah. And then I'm glad you mentioned this disappointment, Kidder, because this brings me to something, and I need our audience's help with this. I decided to buy myself some barbecue sauce because I enjoy a good barbecue sauce. And I'm trying it. I bought one. I was kind of looking at it, and I found this one. It is it's called Rufus Teague Made Some Sauce is the brand.
Why?
I don't know. It's interesting. But this was a maple whiskey barbecue sauce. Jenner, when you think of whiskey, what's the tasting notes that come to mind when you think of like good whiskey?
Well, I mean, a little bit of smokiness, little peppery notes. Just maybe a little I don't know, not quite the peatiness, but just all around caramely notes, I guess. Delicious. I mean, it sounds like a good whiskey to me.
Yeah, I would agree. And that's what I think of kind of with whiskey. Kind of, more of a savory profile. Kidder, this went more of the Tennessee honey whiskey sweet, plus maple being sweet. This Kidder is like the sweetest barbecue sauce, and I don't like it. I have had to add so much to it to kind of like temper it so I can eat it. You know, like bringing in things that are very acidic. Like I was eating it on some chicken in a chicken, barbecue chicken wrap. I had to add so many pickles so that the acidity of the pickles could break through the sweetness. So needless to say, here's what I need.
Whiskey in there.
Truth. I could have taken a shot of whiskey to try and finish it. I'll tell you what, Kidder. The next time I come down to your place, I'll bring it down so you can.
Oh, great! Sample. Here comes a 3/4 full jug of crap. Hey, try this! I swear you'll forget about it by the time I bring it down.
Yeah, and then I'll leave it in your fridge. Oh, sorry, Kidder. I must have forgot it. I'll get it the next time.
Maybe I won't drive down there because as I'm driving away, you'll probably try and sneak it in my in the back of my car.
He'll be the asshole that buys a brand new jug and throws it in your trunk. Not even the one that he already has. He just buys a brand new one just for you, sealed for your protection.
So Kidder, this is where I'd like to ask our audience. I am looking for a good savory, because I prefer savory over sweet, barbecue sauce. I don't just want the generic, hey, here's the mass brand. I'm looking for a really good, maybe one could almost say indie barbecue sauce.
So for me, the first two that come to mind, or even three, I'll go with three. First one is local, regional, I should say, Space Aliens. Their barbecue sauce, it's their recipe. Delicious, has enough spice where it makes the sauce interesting. Very good. For the other two, they are national brands. And of course, the first one that I'll mention is the famous Dave's sauces, because then you can pick the sweet and sassy, or rich and sassy, or the devil's spit. They used to have more, but I think lesser popularity and cutbacks killed those sauces, because they used to have 6 sauces at the table. Now there's only the 3, including one that I loved was the pineapple rage sauce, spicy barbecue with a hint of pineapple in there. Oh, it was so good. You get the pineapple steaks on the side with that sauce on the ribs. Oh, yeah, that was, it makes me go Scandinavian, but then Southern at the same time. Number 3, I would say, would be, as the mass-produced one, the best one you could probably go with is the Sweet Baby Ray's.
Yeah. I'm looking for something that, as I said, just a little bit more original than Sweet Baby Ray's. I've had it. It's all right. It's a good sauce, but I'm looking for I just want to try something different, but have it be a nice savory sauce. What I'm looking for.
I don't remember if it was something just out in North Carolina when I was living there, or if we've gotten it here since we moved back to North Dakota, but Stubbs, Stubbs, might be one that you'd enjoy.
I've heard of Stubbs, and I think I may have seen it in the store.
Yeah, I've seen that one too. But yeah, for you, the audience, throw some saucy comments in here. I want to hear, what is some good barbecue sauce? Yeah.
And of course, like, share, and subscribe if you would, please. For your comment down below, audio version or the video version or the Facebook version. Just please, we want to hear from you because you're part of the show too. And the reason that I say this is not only for the cheap plugs and the hope that you subscribe to us, like us, and share us with your friends, because we want to be friends with your friends too, but because Big D got up and ran like he either had to go to the bathroom or he's going to buy a bottle of Stubbs barbecue sauce and send it to Howard tonight.
Or little D got up and he's off being a parent.
That also might be the case.
Yeah.
But you never know.
Well, Kidder, we've been talking for quite a while. It's almost 1 a.m. Let's wrap this up with some cheap plugs and, get some sleep, because sleep good. Howard tired.
Indubitably. First of all, Big D, thanks for joining us again. I'm glad that for the second time with my invitation, you not only responded, said that you would, but it was in such a short fashion that it just blows Howard's requests out of the water. So thank you. Thanks for sharing your outworldly beers with the high alcohol content, or drinks, high alcohol content. Thanks for sharing those. And sharing the love for Star Trek, because it's clearly superior to any other star, insert other name, scientific awesomeness. So,
Plug and prosper, you will.
Prosper. Well, let's go ahead and cheap plug it up with our website at beerbluesbs.com. Beerbluesbs.com. If you search on the web for Beer, Blues, and BS, well, I'm sure that you'll find our website, beerbluesbs.com. We also are on Facebook, so if you'd like and share the page, that would be fantastic. Aside from that, listen to our audio versions of the podcast pretty much anywhere that there's an audio version that you can listen to any podcast. From Podbean to Facebook to Google Podcasts on Google Play, Apple Podcasts on the iOS Store, iTunes. We're also on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon Music, Stitcher, TuneIn, IMDb, and Player FM. So if you have an account on any of those services, please subscribe. Or if you find a different audio service and you have an account there, just search Beer, Blues, and BS and subscribe if you would, please. And thank you. Well, you go to Beer, Blues, and BS online at beerbluesbs.com. You can buy us a beer if you'd like, or buy us around. While you're there, you can also visit the merch store and get some stickers, some sweet shirts, maybe a pint glass with the Triple B logo, or some of the other classic original Triple B designs. beerbluesbs.com, click on merch. And like I mentioned, you can like us on Facebook and YouTube if you would. Click the thumbs up, like us, share us, subscribe, please. Doesn't cost you anything. Just check us out once in a while. Leave a comment too. beerbluesbs.com for all of that and more. Aside from that, the Killer Kidder Show is available on Spotify, and Clinton liked it. He subscribed to it. Not only did he, like it, as in subscribing, but he's like one banger tune after another, and I'm like, thank you, and you're welcome. So you can share in the hundreds of hours of audio listening on Spotify with the Killer Kidder Show. But aside from that, again, a big thanks to Big D for joining us. Go Sue. Howie Blues, thanks for coming back and not leaving this thing in solo drive, because after a while we just either run out of Howard internet and power jokes, or they would really catch on and it could be its own thing. We'll give it a shot the next time you take a vacation. Anyway, for Howard Blues and for Big D, I'm the man, the myth, the legend, Mark Kidder. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Beer, Blues, and BS. Remember, keep your glass at least half full. There's free beer tomorrow, and we will catch you on down that dusty Tuscan highway. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you on the
You
next
have been listening to a UA production of Beer, Blues, and BS. If you enjoyed the show, help others find out about it by rating the show or leaving a review at your podcast listening service of choice. Thanks for listening, and may your glass never be empty. UA Productions presents A Glimpse Behind the Curtain.
Come on, Steve. Hurry up. I saw he messaged me on Facebook saying he had to restart his computer because he was getting an unknown error. But I signed out of Facebook so that I had more bandwidth for this. So, and my phone's upstairs charging. So,
very convenient.
Mhm.
Ah, there he is. The
Nodak
ding-dong
Storm
himself.
I
Yep.
don't know who this is. I have no idea who this is.
Wait.
I'm not letting him in. I mean, this could be anybody.
You do have a good point. I don't know if we should let any ding dong in here. Just anybody knocking at our door. I mean, why would
I
we
know.
want to just let some random person in here? Speaking of random,